Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share with you the fragrances that I wore for the week. I have one exceptionally intoxicating and addictive one. I've got an amazing layering combination that I'm trying to kind of make like Ginger Biscuit by Jo Malone that I want to share with you, and also a few from Dossier. So can't wait to get started. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the weird and wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community, and let's get into it. So I'm going to start with one of my Dossier fragrances. It's called Ambry Vier, and it is supposed to be an inspired version of Belle d'Afrique by Byredo. I've smelt a few of the Byredo fragrances. I actually thought I had a sample of Belle d'Afrique. I'm sure I do, but my sample collection is starting to feel like some sort of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, any of those shows where you go into the like bowels of the catacombs or whatever, and there's like all these scrolls, like hundreds of thousands of scrolls. I don't know how anyone found anything when it was just scrolls, because it reminds me of my freaking sample collection where I have all these little tubes and containers, and I cannot figure out how to organize them in a way that I can find them. Like, I've got hundreds at this point of samples, which I love having. Like, it's a first world problem big time. But I know I've got a Belle d'Afrique sample somewhere, but I literally can't find it. I looked for 2 weeks, like not consistently, but looked, couldn't find it. But the thing about Byredo fragrances that I struggle with is a lot of times they're uber pricey, and they don't last really long on the skin. And they're kind of like, the whole entire aesthetic is very clean feeling, minimalistic bottles, gypsy water, you know, fragrances like that. I find that they're all kind of clean girl feeling, like white t-shirt and jeans. I don't know if they're all like that, but that's what I think of when I think of Byredo. The line just hasn't really moved me. I know I really enjoyed smelling gypsy water, and I have, like I said, a few more, but none of them like really like caught my attention enough that I would want to purchase them, because they're not necessarily my style, but I kind of like them. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's some things that I'd like in my collection, but I don't want to spend the money for the niche version because it's not something I would wear a whole lot. And that's where I find inspiration houses to be quite handy, because I can get a similar DNA without breaking the bank. This one from Dossier is called Ambry Vier. Now, interestingly, the aesthetic to me on Dossier is similar to the Byredo as far as just a clear bottle with a white label. It's obviously a little bit different. What I like about Dossier is they send a card, they say what the fragrance is inspired by, they say the perfume concentration, they talk about how to return it if you don't like it. So I really like the way that they do things. I like the way that they present their fragrances. Kind of just works for me. I like the fact that there's notes on it. It makes it really easy to kind of explore their fragrances. When I first put it on my skin, it was really, really green. Oh, this is going to be a day. Anyway, really, really green. As it dries down, I find it gets a little bit powdery. There's an earthiness that I associate with something like a little bit of a smokiness. This one is very clean smelling to me. So I let my husband smell it, and he thought that it smelled like soap. So that was his feeling on it. There is a soapy quality to Belle d'Afrique, as I recall, and that is in here as well. It smells very, like, although it's got that clean aesthetic, it feels luxurious. Like, it feels like one of those fragrances where you put it on, you want to smell nice, but you don't want to smell like bam in your face. You don't want to smell over dramatic. You just want to smell good. To me, Belle d'Afrique or Ambry Vier fits in that category. Just kind of a clean, put together, sophisticated. There's a sophistication to this for sure. So I really do like it, although it's not my normal kind of go-to type fragrance. The notes for Belle d'Afrique are slightly different than the ones for Ambry Vier, but the Dossier one has bergamot, lemon, and buchu or buku. Never actually heard of that note. Middle notes are orange blossom, marigold, and violet. And the base notes are vetiver, amber, and cedarwood. I found that Ambry vetiver, it didn't project majorly. It sat a little bit closer to the skin, but I could still smell it. This is one that I will definitely wear. I really actually enjoy it. There's a powdery quality, which makes sense because of the violets. It's just very clean, sophisticated. It would be a fragrance where if I'm going into a situation where they don't really recommend wearing a whole heck of a lot of perfume, I feel like this one would be one that you could definitely wear. I just really find it sophisticated, even though it's kind of a softer, kind of soapier fragrance. The other thing that I noticed about this fragrance is I wouldn't consider it to be sweet at all. So most of the fragrances that I tend to gravitate towards are really sweet, but sometimes you don't want that. You want something that's calming or grounding. So I found that this did that for me. So I really, really enjoy this one. I'm really glad to have it. Now, the next fragrance that I wore was my Intoxicating fragrance, and it is Twilight Shimmer by Michael Kors. I absolutely love this fragrance. I'm really lucky because I bought this at, I think it's called the Cosmetic Store. It's the Estee Lauder kind of discount store, and we have one in Airport Mall here in Edmonton. And so I got this for like $20, which I was really excited about. I love this fragrance. The plum in this is so mouth-wateringly delicious, but it has plum, red berries. There's Laotian oud, praline, and woody notes. So the mixture of the plum, the praline, and the oud, those are kind of the main notes in there. It is so intoxicating. Like, it's so delicious. Like, it's totally addictive. I love this fragrance. Like, I'm so glad I have it. I think that this one is sexy enough to wear for a date night, and I can see guys really liking it because of that praline. Nice and sweet. But there's a depth to it with that plum, and I find that plum is the most sensual of fruits. Like, there is no fruit that's more sensual than a plum for some reason. I don't know why, but that note in fragrances is just, it's just mouth-watering. I love this. Dossier has an original that's called Dark Rum and Amber, and it has plum in it. So good. Plum and Cognac is amazing. Narciso Rodriguez Rose Musk Noir. Why can't I remember the names? It's a day today. Anyway, all of them have plum, and I just love plum. Like, I love plum in a fragrance. So this is no exception. It's so addictive, sensual, alluring, intoxicating. It's just a great fragrance, but it's not so over the top that you couldn't wear it during the day. So, and I find this one like kind of somehow Christmassy or festive. Like, I think of sugar plums. Maybe it's because of the color in the bottle, but I love this fragrance. It's just so delicious. Next fragrance I tried was Fruity Oak Moss by Dossier. This is Dossier's inspired version of Creed's Aventus for Her, which, like, I've smelt Creed Aventus for Her. I've smelt a lot of the dupes that are out there. This is one that, again, isn't my favorite scent profile. So that's why I wanted to try it from Dossier, because even though it's not my favorite, sometimes I want it. I want what I want when I want it. So sometimes I want to smell like this. I'm going to read the notes for this. The top has green apple, bergamot, and lemon. The middle notes are peach, rose, and ylang ylang. And the base has most... Seriously, guys, I'm having trouble talking today. I started by saying musk. It's really a scary day. Anyway, musk, oak moss, patchouli, and sandalwood. Now, this one, when I first sprayed it, I was really excited about it. Really liked the apple in it, surprisingly. Just the mixture of fruits made it smell kind of bright, juicy, almost gave me a pineapple-esque feel. But as this continues to dry down, I really find that the florals come out. And to me, the florals don't smell like rose or ylang ylang to me. They smell what I think of when I think of geraniums. So I guess that makes sense, but it smells more like geranium or even like a marigold for whatever reason. And it's just not my favorite vibe. I think it's a mixture of the fruit and the florals. The original Creed Aventus for her really isn't my vibe either. To be honest, I couldn't tell you how close this one is. On smelling this, I realized that I definitely prefer the guy version of Creed Aventus. I like the brightness, even though it's a bit more masculine. I like the brightness of that fragrance better than I like the female version, because the female version is quite floral, in my opinion, at least the inspired version is. Weigh in if you've smelt both the Dossier and the original and tell me what you think. So what I was kind of anticipating was a more kind of fresh, clear feeling in the fragrance, and what I got was a lot more floral than what I was anticipating. But it's a bit powdery, it's a bit sickly for me. And it made me feel a little bit sick. So it kind of gave me a headache. Those florals are really potent. So I don't know if the original is like that. I know that like I smelt the L'Aventure, I think is it by Lattafa? And that one smelt more masculine than this one. This one definitely is more floral. And I'm not vibing with the floral aspects. So this one's a pass for me. The longevity on this thing is amazing. And if you really love Creed Aventus for her, it might be worth trying out because they're so affordable. But the longevity was amazing. The projection on this one was amazing, but I don't get on with it at all. Now, the next is a layering combination, and I have become obsessed with ginger biscuit from Jo Bellode. So I tried doing some sort of combination with Spicy Delice and EOS Vanilla Cashmere Lotion to try get a ginger biscuit feel. Now, Spicy Delice by JUS, this is literally like, it's so gingery. There's lots of ginger, there's lots of cardamom. Basically, it's just a spice bomb. There's cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. There's some vanilla in here. There's a slight hint of sweetness to this, but like, honestly, I love this. Like, it's so like freaking sexy on a guy. Like, seriously, it's so, so good. But this fragrance to me is great for layering. So for instance, if I wanted to amp up the spice in something like this, throw this on. Use this with Musk Noir Rose for her, and you're getting that delicious, delectable spice mixed with the plum. You could do something like that. You can mix this with vanillas. You could mix this with cherry, and it would be amazing. So there's so much that you can do with this one because it's primarily spice. So sometimes fragrances are like primarily cherry, and you can layer it with lots of things. Primarily vanilla. This one is primarily spices. So if you want to amp up the spice aspect in any fragrance, Spicy Delice is an awesome option. But I'm trying to replicate ginger biscuit, which I've come to just realize that you can't replicate it. Like, you're not going to be able to replicate it exactly. But I wanted to get something similar. So I mixed this with a spicy vanilla, which is a Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli 64 by Kayali. Now this fragrance, honestly, I'm in love with this fragrance. Like, I love it. I'm glad it's still available. This is the perfect Christmas vanilla for starters. I like this. I liked Oud Vanilla. I liked the Oud collection, but I like this one more for sure. This has some booziness. It's uber vanillic. There's a bit of an oud vibe in here. There's a lot of patchouli, so it's quite spicy on its own, but it's just so, so yummy. So I love this fragrance. So I mixed the two of these, and I smelled freaking amazing all day. Now, that said, it wasn't ginger biscuit by Jo Bellode, but the longevity on this far surpasses, like, this is like a 10 or 12 hour plus fragrance wear. Like, you put this on, you're going to smell amazing for the whole entire day. You're going to smell delicious. You're going to smell like royalty, man. Like, seriously, this is a phenomenal combination. So if you want to give yourself a bit of some sort of gingerbread dessert that's not like actual gingerbread, but kind of like that, this is a great combination. So loved wearing this. I'll definitely be wearing this, like, I think over and over and over, because I was so in love with myself. Like, I couldn't stop sniffing. Like, I couldn't stop sniffing myself all day. Love this. Okay, now the last one is Dossier's inspired version of Jazz Club by Maison Margiela, and it is called Woody Tobacco. I do have a sample of Jazz Club, so I wore them both to kind of compare them. So Jazz Club is another one of those fragrances where I really enjoy it, but it's not something I would reach for very often. And so in knowing that, I don't want to spend the $150, $180 Canadian. So I thought, well, if I can get something that's really similar for way, way less, that's what I would do. The notes in Woody Tobacco are lemon, pink pepper, and neroli, rum, dry fruits, and blonde woods. And then the base is styrax, tobacco leaves, and vanilla. What I find is that they are maybe about 75% the same. So they give me the same vibe. What I found was Woody Tobacco, I got a lot more of the woodiness. This one felt a lot more masculine. So it's unisex leaning masculine, whereas Jazz Club I found was like pretty much completely unisex. So I found Jazz Club to have a little bit more of a floral in there. Like I definitely noted some floral. So getting that neroli and that clary sage definitely in this one. Whereas the Woody Tobacco, I definitely don't get the florals in this one. Whereas this one I do. So I find this one a little bit more masculine leaning. This one a little bit more just unisex. I prefer the original Jazz Club, but I definitely enjoyed wearing this one. I definitely would prefer this, I think, on a guy because it is masculine leaning. I can see using something like this to mix with a vanilla to really get yourself something super sexy. This is enjoyable, and I definitely prefer Dossier's kind of more woody, boozy fragrances over their floral, fruity ones. So any of the feminine, floral, fruity ones, I find that somehow they sometimes bother my sinuses, whereas the woody, kind of more sexy ones, I really get on with. So really enjoyed this one. I don't think it's, like I wouldn't consider it a dupe. It's definitely inspired by. Longevity, excellent on this. I definitely prefer the original Jazz Club over this one. As these dry down, they get a lot more similar, but I still feel like the Jazz Club original has a lot more sweetness to it, and it's a little bit smoother. The tobacco smells a little bit more like that, just a luscious tobacco, whereas the tobacco in Woody Tobacco feels a little bit drier. If you're a die-hard Jazz Club fan, you would be disappointed in this because it's not close enough. And if you found that Jazz Club was a little too feminine leaning, then honestly, the Dossier one would be better for you because it does have kind of a masculine edge. So those were my findings. Those were my experiences. What about you? Have you tried any of the Dossier fragrances? And if so, weigh in. What are your favorites? What are the ones that you think are uber close to the original? Please leave it in the comments. That's always helpful for everybody. This combo was the highlight for me. I really enjoyed wearing it. And I'm enjoying this one more and more. I got it thinking I could wear it in the summer, and it was a little bit too much spice. It leans masculine. I think most women would find this, well, it's not though. Like it's definitely unisex, but this together, so good. This is masculine for me, but the combination, so freaking delicious. So if you've got this one, try it with this one and tell me what you think. And that is it. I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.